Okay, my people, let's hear from DJ Switch and the CNN. Thank you.
Well, DJ Switch is now in hiding, but he's bravely joining us to speak about what happened that night and what has happened since. And we thank you for doing that. The videos that you posted have made you a target, and there are claims that the Nigerian army has been trailing you, threatening your life and forcing you to flee the country. The army has denied those claims, saying, and I quote, "There are bigger fish to fry," end quote. Tell us what you saw that night and what is going on now.
Well, thank you for having me, Becky. Thank you for giving us your platform to continue talking and sharing this story. What I experienced that day was the worst experience in my life. The Nigerian army that is supposed to protect us came with no warning, none, nobody, no representative to come speak to us at first. At least they just came in guns blazing. We heard gunshots from behind the toll gate, because we were on one side of the toll gate, and we heard gunshots from behind and people running. So what we did was just to go down and sit down and just stay still, wave our flags. So because we believed that if we waved our flags, they would see that we are not here to cause any harm. We're not here to cause any troubles. We're just here protesting, as is our right to do so. So there was no warning, nothing. They came shooting. People were just dropping. I can't even explain that to you. It was such a chaotic scene that most times I find it difficult to close my eyes without seeing those scenes. And after they left, the Nigerian police came, SARS to be precise, because looking at the uniform, the ones we could see, and especially one man that was putting on white, I don't know who he is or something, but he had a pistol, kind of like a small gun, and he was just shooting at us directly, and we were just running for our lives. That's the short story of it, really.
Mm. Just after the Lekki Gate incident, I spoke with the Lagos state governor. Have a listen to what he told me.
Becky, I genuinely believe there will be change for two reasons. One, you know, what has happened, especially in Lagos, is extremely unimaginable. That's number one. Number two, it was a clear call, you know, for all of us in government, you know, especially, you know, understanding and realizing, you know, what the youth, or what they truly want us to be doing, you know. So it hit all of us like a thunderbolt, and it was just, you know, a wake-up call.
Your response to what you just heard there?
With no due respect, I actually challenge the governor of Lagos State to just say the truth. They know the truth. It's been out there, they're conflicting stories with each other. Nigerians have died. This is not a time to play games. Families are looking for their loved ones. To be honest with you, with regards to me, I don't know how to feel, because in one hand, I'm grateful I'm alive today. In the other hand, I don't know if I should say I'm lucky. It's almost like I'm saying the others were not lucky. It is time that we own up to the things that we're supposed to own up to. The governor has a responsibility to the citizens of Lagos State, and he should say the truth.
Nigeria's president on Tuesday vowed to prevent a repeat of what have been these wider anti-police brutality protests through dialogue and through listening, he says, to all stakeholders. I just wonder, how do his comments make you feel?
To be honest, Becky, at this point, I do not hold what the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria says to any, I can't hold it to heart. Nigeria is a dictatorship with a democratic face. And I think that is primarily to to please the international communities. It is our right to protest anything that we see and change that we demand. The Nigerian government has used force from the beginning, starting with trying to infiltrate a peaceful protest with thugs. That didn't work out. And then they've moved to bringing the military in. So the same government that says that they had banned SARS, and this is going for 4 to 5 years now, they keep banning the same SARS, is saying that he wants to have a dialogue. The president hasn't even come out once to address the shooting at the toll gate. So no, Becky, I do not take his word to heart. We need action, we need change, and most importantly, we need accountability.
You've said about this whole experience, and I quote here, "It is cause for what I believe is just. It is shock at the response of my government towards the people it is sworn to protect. It is courage to speak up no matter what. And for me, the will to see justice, accountability and a change in Nigeria, no matter how much is offered to me or threats to me." Do you believe that change will come? And how long do you think you will need to stay in hiding for?
To be honest, I will start with the fact that the will is there. This generation, as we like to call ourselves, we call ourselves Sorosoke. That means speak up. Unlike the past, where they've oppressed our parents, they've misinformed our parents because we didn't have social media back then. They owned the media houses, they owned the newspapers. But this is a different generation. And that goes to the end where I said that I believe strongly that Nigeria will change. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And now the Nigerian people, especially this generation, they are speaking up. The shock for me was to see that for the first time, something that gave me such belief. I never thought I would see Nigerians come together with the same voice and speak in one voice, demanding change, demanding an end to police brutality. I never thought that our government, first time they're seeing this, would respond in the action with which they did. Seizing the passport of Mo, for example, arresting Neroms, chasing people out of town and literally out of the country. I believe that the fact that I have been given a second chance at this life, I don't know what will happen to me. I don't know what will happen to my career. All my bookings, everything is gone. I don't know. But what I do know is this. The fact that I have this chance, I will use this opportunity to tell this story. No matter the length, no matter the breadth, I would use the opportunity to tell the story. My hope is to go back home. I don't want to run anywhere. People think that I have sought some sort of asylum. That is not a fact. But you can't chase down everything. Those things are not important. I want to be able to go home, but I want to make sure that I've gotten my story out and the story of other witnesses out under oath. And then when I'm done, I go home. If they want to pick me up at that point, there's nothing to try and silence me for anymore. So if they still want to pick me up, no problem.
Who has a gun on the table? As much as I would have begged and urged that those young people remain on the panel, if only to show the lies of this government to the entire wide world. I really have no control over what they do, but I am saying here and now that the Lagos State government, Jide Sanwo-Olu, the LCC, the Nigerian Army, and everybody connected thereto have no interest in uncovering the truth of what happened in Lekki. The concerted efforts are the lies, the many Aristotelian dimension to the madness that they are calling investigation. I sit here and I say it on my honor. I challenge them, I dare them to allow that panel to work. Let people stop fooling themselves. We are dealing with a criminally reprobate bunch of rulers. And I repeat it again. There are clear evidences I have seen with my own eyes. And I have spoken with survivors, eyewitnesses. So let people stop fooling themselves. What happened in that place? It is criminal. And the Lagos State government is criminally responsible and should actually not even begin to pretend. The sooner it comes out, acknowledges its part in what has happened, take responsibility for what has happened, the quicker we can all heal. But to turn around and seek to demonize people who have merely demanded rights, come on, come on. At the end of the day, truth dies in darkness. And some people have helped to keep the truth hidden from the people. People were discouraged from going before the panel. They were discouraged from showing up and encouraged to go into exile and go on the ground in an attempt to cover up what happened in Lekki. It wasn't only in Lekki, let's be clear. A lot of things happened in Ikotun. It happened in Badagry. Several people were killed all over Lagos. And yet, denials upon denials. Problem is that when people keep denying the truth, it simply means that they have not repented. And they will do it again, given the same opportunity. If they will get away with something like this in Lagos, imagine what has happened in the places where cameras don't go, where people do not readily have cameras to video them to show what they have done. I cannot find peace in keeping quiet. But now that I've mentioned the issue of peace, let me speak to that. To a very large extent, there has been an ongoing attempt at demonization of the NSAS protesters as though they were the ones who brought violence to the Nigerian street. Nothing can be further from the truth. Nobody has appointed me their spokesperson, but I identify with the cause of the NSAS protesters. And I did visit that ground a few times, particularly the one in Lekki, and I did go with my own daughter. But here is the thing we must all get clear, and this should sink in. When this protest started, in Abuja, we saw in broad daylight, anybody can sit down and keep denying the evidences of their eyes. But these were clear things. We saw it. Government agents in SUVs coordinating thugs and distributing money to thugs. There are videos readily available everywhere, seen by everybody. We cannot pretend that we didn't see these things. In Lagos, we all saw it in broad daylight. I know that Ramimba, to which I belong, the radical agenda in the Nigerian bar, wrote a petition to the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, positively identifying one of the persons, I think they call him Osha or something, holding a cutlass in broad daylight, chasing protesters around in Alausa, ferried to Alausa with lag boss. Now, if we begin to speak in terms of violence, let us be clear. There was no violence in Lagos until the morning of Wednesday. And the violence that happened in Lagos must be clearly and carefully situated. I believe that yes, the NSAS protesters were killed and injured and attacked, but none of the people that I saw had the capacity or even the intention or even the will, after what happened to them, to go and start where butter boys, the bulk of them are drawn from the lower to the upper middle class. They are not about to go to a police station and start burning anything. These were people who were when we protested in my youth, we didn't have fun. These guys were having fun, but they made their point. End SARS, end impunity. They made their point, but they did so peacefully. When Yele Sowore tried joining that protest, there was initially an argument by the younger elements. Don't come, they'll say revolution now. They were afraid. They thought Yele's presence would be the catalyst for violence. So they pushed Yele out. Some of us saw that and stayed away as well. We just stayed on the peripheral and watched what was happening. But the point is this. In spite of the fact that Yele's Take It Back movement that were considered to be the most radical element in the Take It Back movement and in the NSAS protest were marginalized because of the worry as to what the state would do, and in order not to provide an excuse for the state to attack the protesters. But at the end of the day, what happened? Nigerian state still acted true to type. The Nigerian state is happy to engage with terrorists, is happy to talk to bandits. He has no problem rolling out the red carpet for all sorts of miscreants. I've said it before. This country encourages madness. But those who were stood with national flag, those were not soldiers. Those are not soldiers. The people they killed were much more, I've met some of the survivors. They are much more braver people than those who turn their guns on them. And those who are lying, denying what is obvious, and those who are helping them to in fostering these lies.
Welcome. This is a country that kills their own in impunity.
The Nigerian government denies this happened. A peaceful protest turned deadly.
The police came, we were peaceful. They came and started shooting at us.
CNN investigated the events at Lekki Tollgate the night of October 20th in Lagos, Nigeria. After analyzing hours of footage, we are going to tell a story that is radically different than the one the authorities are telling.
Now peaceful protest, Abi? Okay, make everybody the same. Now, where's the flag?
This is Godson. He was one of the demonstrators having fun live streaming the event. He, like many others, gathered in a peaceful demonstration of discontent after weeks of protest against what they called systemic police brutality and corruption. What Godson and the protesters did not know is that the army is already on its way. This is Bonny Camp, a military garrison on the south side of Lagos. We know through analysing footage they left at 6:29 p.m, heading towards Lekki Tollgate. We can see here the Nigerian government forces approaching. The protesters are gathered on the other side of the gate. As Nigerian forces get closer, you can see shots. At 6:43 p.m, we start hearing gunfire. We know this from the timestamp and data on this video. Here's another angle.
They are releasing fire. They are releasing fire.
Nigerian authorities say they fired blanks into the air and not at protesters. But CNN obtained video that appears to show the army shooting toward the crowd. Here, and at the top of your screen, here. In the midst of the chaotic scenes is DJ Switch, a Nigerian celebrity and activist. She is broadcasting live on Instagram.
I wanted people to see what was happening. I didn't want anybody to come and twist the story.
Witnesses tell CNN ambulances were stopped from entering by Nigerian authorities. You can see here people at the scene trying to conduct CPR.
Please explain to me how, in which part of the world do you go to a protest with live bullets?
Everybody, look at this. These are the bullets that were falling by our side, that were dodging bullets.
CNN has verified that these bullet casings are from live ammunition. They are of mixed origin. Some are Serbian. This one from 2005. Nigerian military sources verified to us that these are munitions that are currently in use by Nigeria's army. And in collaboration with the Balkan Investigative Reporting Network, we were also able to procure Serbian export documents, proving that Nigeria purchased weaponry from Serbia for almost every year between 2005 and 2016. The shooting continued past midnight. Eyewitnesses tell us it wasn't just the army. At this point, they say police arrive and open fire.
My hand is broken, my leg is broken, and police are still shooting at us. And if I don't make it through the night, let it be known that I died fighting for our freedom.
So why were live rounds used at a peaceful protest? Many family members of those still missing are asking that question as they hunt for answers or the bodies of their loved ones. Elisha's brother Victor was at the protest that night.
Someone picked my brother's phone and called me and said that my brother Victor Sunday is among of those people that was shot at Lekki Tollgate. And I entered into the hospital and searched. I did not see him. And we are trying our best to just find him, but there's no way to find him.
What we're about to show you is incredibly graphic, but it's also incredibly important. This is Elisha's brother Victor. The data in this footage shows it was filmed at 1:04 a.m. at Lekki Tollgate. Elijah says he received a call about his brother's death around this time. This places Victor exactly at the location of the protest on the night witnesses say they were shot at. This is important because Nigerian authorities deny anyone was killed at the scene. Since this incident, CNN has contacted over 100 protesters and family members.
They pointed their guns at us and they started shooting.
We asked what they heard.
When we had gunshots from behind the toll.
And felt.
This is where I was shot and the bullet went through my back.
Many are in hiding. Some have fled the country. CNN tried to share these findings with the Nigerian army but received no response. Lagos state authorities would not comment on our reporting until they said a judicial panel of inquiry presents its findings. The wait for answers here continues.
Here comes our useful Efulef, our useful idiot, adult that are here watching why goats are giving birth on a rope. Look at them, fooled by the Fulanized.
It was a feeling of anger and frustration among the governors and leaders of the South-South region when the Professor Ibrahim Gambari-led federal government delegation failed to show up for a scheduled meeting in Port Harcourt. The meeting, which had been convened at the instance of the federal government, was to discuss security and other issues of neglect suffered by the region. Originally scheduled for 11 a.m., the meeting, however, got delayed due to the quarterly National Security Council meeting at the presidential villa. The program was then reversed to 1 p.m., but the Professor Ibrahim Gambari-led federal government delegation failed to show up.
I got a call from the villa. Very unfortunately, and spoke with the Chief of Staff to Mr. President, and he did ask that I should please apologize to the South-South that they are already there at the airport. He's there at the airport with the ministers, but because of the emergency meeting and the further meeting of Mr. President with the Inspector General of Police and the DG SSS, that it will be difficult for them to come for this meeting without these two persons in their midst.
And upon hearing the message from the Delta State Governor and Chairman of the South-South Governors Forum, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, the atmosphere became ignited.
At least to show, say, when I respect South-South, no can not pick any call from presidency, at least within the next 24 hours. If when they take their phone call, if I say, when I not sell us out to. This meeting is as important as any other meeting in this Nigeria.
If the federal government thinks that they can treat us with this type of disdain, then we also must be able to know that the time has come for us to say enough, really, truly, absolutely, that totally enough is enough.
They say the federal government has by its action again shown that it has no regard for the South-South region, despite its enormous contribution to the nation's wealth.
So if you held meetings with other people, you had it so well, you did all those sort of things. When it comes to us, you say, they are the middle. Who cancels a meeting when a meeting is supposed to end? I do not think this is good, and I will suggest that we should just pause the whole idea of any meeting or any dialogue. We are going to take a decisive decision to make them believe that we have teeth, little teeth, and we can bite.
And with others calling for restraint on the matter, the South-South leaders then resolved that the federal government must tender an unreserved apology before any consideration will be given to another dialogue.
We desire, as a region, an unreserved public apology to the region, particularly to our traditional rulers and the leaders in this zone.
Dagbo Abiakeme, AIT News, Port Harcourt.